it's Shawnee. Welcome back. Now, as I procrastinate on washing my hair and deep conditioning and detangling and braiding it and all that good stuff, I thought that I would go ahead and do a video. So recently, the Natasha Denona Love Face Palette came out. Now, if you recall, we do have the Glam Face Palette. This came out in a light version and a dark version. I have the dark version here. Each one has 5 eyeshadows. You've got 2 shimmers and 3 mattes, and then you've got a blush and a highlighter. Now, a lot of people like this face palette because it sort of has everything in it if you need to take one palette on the go. I did have the light version, but I ended up returning it because the dark version works a lot better on my skin tone. Now, we also have the Natasha Denona Love midi-sized eyeshadow palette, right? And so it's kind of like she put them together and came out with a Love face palette. So it has the same setup as the Glam face palette, 5 eyeshadows with a blush and a highlighter. There aren't different versions. There's no light and dark. There's just one version of it. And it seems like there are 4 mattes and 1 shimmer in the palette. So I'm not purchasing it, not because I don't love pink. I do love pink, which means that I have a lot of pink eyeshadow. But also for me, it makes a bit more sense to have the Glam face palette because this is, to me, what an everyday kind of neutral eyeshadow wearer would need. So you could throw this in your bag for work and you'd be good to go. Whereas the Love face palette, with all of the heavy lean towards pink, it feels like it would be less of an everyday thing. And do you really need 5 pinks with a blush and a highlighter and a face palette? Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Since I'm not purchasing it though, I went ahead and tried to dupe the vibes. So I pulled out my singles, I pulled out my Natasha Denona palettes. I tried to just get all of the things that were magnetic and see if I could come up with a color story that's similar to the Love face palette, but one that matches better with my skin tone and my vibe. And I came up with 2 options. Now I put them into this little kit pack. Usually you see my black one that I take for work, and this time I have this sort of maroon one. This one came in a pack of I think 3 others, 2 blacks and 1 red, during their holiday season. So I really wanted to pick up because I think it's like a nice color. So let me pop it open and show you the options that I came up with. Here are my versions of the Love palette, the Love face palette, just the eyeshadows. Not gonna worry about the blush and the highlighter. One, I don't really wear highlighter that much, and I have enough blush, and I'm gonna be getting some of the Danessa Myricks ones, so okay, we're just duping the vibes of the shadows, all right? So I think that my versions, I will let you know the names and everything. I think that my versions are great for deeper and darker skin tones. I think these would actually work on a variety of skin tones, while the shadows in the Love face palette look a little lighter, except for like the middle deep brown shade. But I wanted to try it out, and I think that I kind of nailed it, but you'll have to let me know what you think. Now, this top row, this one is, of course, the same 5 shades, and it has the same sort of format as the Love face palette, where we have 4 mattes and 1 shimmer. So let me tell you about those, and then I'll tell you about the bottom one. Okay, so let's do some swatches of what I came up with. This first shade here is Soleil from Terra Moon's Cosmetics, and it actually is from their Cosmic Wanderer eyeshadow palette. This next shade here is from the Natasha Denona Love palette, and it is the shade Valentine. Now this is from her mid-sized Love palette. The next shade, this is from Sydney Grace, and it is called Lords a Leaping. Next, we have another shade from Natasha Denona. This is from her Retro palette, and this is the shade Psychedelic. And then the very last shade that I have in this mock-up is from Sydney Grace, and it is the shade Lolly. So here is my version, my first version of the Love face palette, just for a bit of a deeper or darker skin tone. Again, we've got Terra Moon Soleil, then we have Natasha Denona Valentine, we have Sydney Grace Lords a Leaping, Natasha Denona Psychedelic, and Sydney Grace Lolly. So I want to show you what it looks like along with the shades. Now let's go into the bottom one. Now this bottom one, I went a little heavier on the shimmers. So I have 3 shimmers and 2 mattes. Very different from the top one that has 4 mattes and 1 shimmer. I just wanted to be able to have a little bit more fun with this one. So let's go ahead and get started on the swatches of this bottom one. So the first shade we have here is from Menagerie Cosmetics, and it is the shade 9 Lives. The next shade is also from Menagerie Cosmetics, and it is called Formidable. This is very soft. The first matte I put in here is, again, from Menagerie Cosmetics, and it is called Fur Ball. This shade is again from Menagerie Cosmetics, and it is called Toe Beans. And then the last matte in this palette is from Sydney Grace, and it is called Sugar Bear. So there you have this heavier on the shimmer version, and it's a bit lighter in terms of the tones. And you probably saw or heard that there was a lot of Menagerie Cosmetics, and all these 4 shades here, the first 4, are from their Claws palette. So I was able to get most of the palette from the Menagerie Cosmetics Claws palette. So let me show you the palette with the swatches. All right, so then next I am just going to do a look. I'll do one side with the shimmer, more heavy shimmer, and the next side with the more matte heavy version. Here we go. here are the finished looks. A little different from one another, but kind of still the same. I love them both, but I love pink. You know what? The only thing that would wrap this up even more is for me to put on some lashes. I'm not going to do all of that today just because I have stuff to do and I don't have time to be putting on lashes and taking them off and all that stuff. So on this eye, we have this set of shades. All 5 of these are on this eye. And on this eye, we have this set of shades. So all 5 of these are on this eye. I love it. I love both of them. Like, it makes me even more excited that these are just already in my shadows collection, so I do not need that Love face palette. It's pretty, but I don't need it. And Rose, she hasn't made an appearance in a while. No. So let me know if you are planning to get the Love face palette. Let me know if you're planning to get any of these singles that I just told you about, or you have any of the palettes that some of the stuff came from. So I hope that some of this was helpful. I also hope that you are continuing to take care of yourself. Thank you for coming along with me on Duping the Vibes. I really have so much fun doing that because I just love playing with singles and putting things together. So make sure to like the video. Also, please feel free to subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.